Rob Morrison. My riding is Kootenay-Columbia in British Columbia. I'm a retired RCMP member, 35 years in the RCMP. I retired at the rank of Chief Superintendent, which is an EX2-3 level in the federal government. I've been started off in Creston, BC, which is kind of interesting because that's where I live now. It's part of my riding, so that was kind of fun 40 years ago. And I was transferred from Creston after 7 years, met lots of great people, small rural policing to Vancouver Drug Enforcement, and then I went on to a covert electronic surveillance unit for about 20 years. And I remember a time when I arrested a young guy in Creston, and he was 21 years old, and he was really a bad guy. And I sat him down and talked to him, and kind of became a bit friendly with him. Like, he was always adverse to meeting with police. And once I became friends with him and talked to him a few more times, he ended up getting a career became a electrician. And he still is friends with me today. When I go back to Creston, I go to his house or he comes to my house. We have a beer, and he's really turned around. So the highs are building relationships with your community. That's the real highs of policing. I guess the lows, which is the saddest part, is going to fatalities, car accident fatalities, especially people in a small community. You would. Drug addiction was a problem, even back then, where you just wonder, how can we help people and get them on the right road? So those were the real lows of policing, when you feel helpless and you go home at night with your young family and, you've just come from an accident or a fatality or a shooting or a suicide. Those are definitely difficult to deal with. We need to start looking at some of the laws, like some of the C75, C5, where this government with the NDP are reducing or removing mandatory minimum sentences for violent crimes. We want to have a plan and process where we can get these individuals into rehab so they can come back and contribute to our communities. That's one thing. Another thing we want to do is our bail reform, where we're going to talk about, if you commit serious crimes, you're going to jail. So in other words, jail, not bail. I know what's missing here is a common sense or evidence-based process. For example, C21, the bill on handguns, is really targeting on legal gun owners. And when you look at that, you think, well, what percent of these crimes are committed by legal gun owners? Well, it's probably less than 5%, if it's even that. So 95+% of crimes are being committed by illegal guns. Wouldn't you think the common sense would be to target the illegal guns, not the legal guns? So why are we spending billions perhaps on a confiscation program when that billions could go towards law enforcement and education programs so that some of our youth do not go down the road of organized crime? I'm really proud of every law enforcement, not just policing, but any law enforcement frontline people for the work that they do every day to keep us safe.